Hey guys, it's Garrett, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 build video. What I have for you today is a Void Titan build that lets you get your super back less than 10 seconds, and if you use your super right, you can basically have it for the entire match. All you're going to need is the Doomfang Pauldron Exotic Gauntlets, the Hands-On mod, the Void Melee Shield Throw, and Sentinel as your Void Super. Those 4 items that I just listed is all the things that you need for this build to work. So you can literally just take those and just slap it on your Titan and it'll work. You can take it a step further with the help of our aspects and fragments, and the armor mods that we choose in this video will definitely make a difference in how fast we can get our super back. To understand the build better, let's go ahead and go over the Doomfang Pauldron Exotic Gauntlets. How it works is the exotic perk Horns of Doom that says defeating targets with void damage has a chance to grant an escalating bonus to damage with void weapons. Defeating targets with void melee grants super energy. While Sentinel Shield is active, defeating targets with melee attacks recharges shield throw, which extends your super on hitting a target. Basically, the damage that we gain from this exotic gives us tier 4 weapon surge, which I believe is more than 25% bonus damage. So because of that, we won't have to worry about running the surge mods on our legs. We can basically just fill that up with anything else that we want to use. And that last part of the description is the key part that makes it to where we can keep our super going as long as we can. So now knowing what the exotic does, we can go ahead and go to our Void subclass and start from there. So obviously you want to run Sentinel Shield as your Void Super. As for the class ability, you could use the Towering Barricade or the Rally Barricade, it's just personal preference. Same thing for the jump. And then another key thing you want to have is the Shield Throw Melee on. You will need this.
Do not switch it.
As for the grenade, I use Scatter Grenade just for some quick damage, but you could switch it to like Vortex Grenade if you'd rather prefer that. As for the aspects, we're running Offensive Bulwark. While you have an overshield or are inside Word of Dawn, your grenade charges significantly faster. You have increased melee range and damage, and melee final blows restore a small portion of your overshield and extend its duration. Also, you gain an additional shield throw while in Sentinel Shield. So basically all that's saying is that while we have the overshield active, we're going to get our grenade a lot quicker, our melee is going to do more damage, and we'll also get more overshield, and it'll extend its duration when we get that melee kill. And then for the other aspect, we're running Controlled Demolition, stating hitting a target with a void ability or volatile explosion makes them volatile. Further damage to a volatile target causes them to explode. Grants you and nearby allies health when volatile targets explode near you. Basically, more explosions and you will gain health from it. As for the fragments, you can change this if you don't like them, but I'm running Echo of Reprisal to gain more super energy when I kill enemies near me, Echo of Starvation to when I grab an Orb of Power or a Void Breach, I will gain Devour, and then Echo of Instability just to gain volatile rounds on your void weapons after you get a grenade kill. And then lastly, I'm using Echo of Leeching, so when I do get that kill with the melee, I will start my health regeneration, but not just for me, but also for my allies. Now for the armor mods, this is what I currently use for mine, but feel free to change it if these do not work for you. For the helmet, I'm running Harmonic Siphon, so that when I get double kills with my void weapon, I will gain Orb of Power. And then you already know about Hands-On, you get more super energy on the melee kills. For this last slot, you can put whatever mod you want on here, but I'm going to use Font of Wisdom just so I can get my super even quicker. As for the gloves, I'm running 2 momentum transfers so that when I do damage with my grenade, I will gain more melee energy back. And then lastly, I'm using heavy-handed so that my melee kills will also grant me Orbs of Power. And then for the chest piece, I just have like your standard resistance mods, but you can change these out. Say you want to add like reserve mods or like charged up for more Orbs of Power holdage, but it's up to you. And then for the legs, I'm running 2 invigoration mods, just so, again, I get more of my melee abilities back. And then lastly, I'm using Absolution just so all of my abilities gain energy back. And then lastly, for my mark, again, I'm running 2 outreach mods so that I just get my melee even quicker. And then I'm running Reaper, so when I do place my barricade, my next kill will be an overpower. Now, as for the weapons, I highly recommend that you use a Void primary with repulsor brace and destabilizing rounds, mainly because of the exotic gauntlets. They also give you, don't forget, that ×4 weapon surge, so your weapons will do even more damage. If you use any other energy weapon that's not Void, you're going to be missing out on a lot of damage. And then I also highly recommend you run a Void heavy, again, the ×4 weapon surge. It's going to do a lot of damage. And for my exotic, I'm running Bastion, mainly because it can take care of the unstoppable champions even after this episode is over, but also because after I get a successful melee hit, this weapon gains increased damage and reduces the charge time for it to fire. Also, on top of that, hitting a target with most of the pellets will make my melee do even more damage. So you're just doing even more damage. If you really wanted to, you could replace Bastion with Monte Carlo to get your melee even quicker, but just make sure to replace Void Siphon with Kinetic Siphon, but you will be losing out on the ×4 Void weapon surge. And for the artifact mods that I'm using, the main 3 you really want to worry about is Marksman, Rapid Void Weapon Precision Hits, and Rapid Void Weapon Final Blows grant volatile rounds. Harvest, rapidly applying volatile causes your next instance of Void weapon damage to create a weakening burst. And then lastly, Flex, for defeating weakened targets with a Void weapon, applies volatile to nearby targets, and then powerful targets increase the radius of that explosion. So there's the build. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys some gameplay of how good this build really is. So this is my favorite place to test out any of my builds, is at Sorrow's Harbor. So here's an enemy right here. I'm gonna go ahead and use my melee on him and watch how much super I gain from it. That was almost 1/4 of it, just from one enemy. I'll also say, if you have a Void weapon that has Pugilist on it, so you can gain your melee even quicker, that would be very beneficial. So here's a big group of enemies right here. Look at that. All that super energy. I basically just got half of my super with one melee. That's insane. So again, right now, I basically have no super energy. With one melee, let's see how much super I gain back. To be fair, I never play Titan, so mainly a Warlock main. Alright, now let's see how long I can keep my super going for. Yeah, literally insane. A really cool thing about using Ward of Crota is that after I get a powered melee kill, every kill does a Curse Thrall explosion. So that's even just more AoE damage. In addition to always having your Void Overshield active, whenever we pick up an Orb of Power, we're also gaining Devour. So we're gaining even more health, but then also more grenade energy. Basically, this build both focuses on ability regeneration and also doing a lot of damage. For the final part of the build, I'm going to go ahead and take it into an LFG GM and see how well it does in in-game content.
Are reading offline, but I bet those Vex pumps are also poking too close to the city's internals.
1 hour later. Two hours later. Three hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
God.
Happy feet! Combo combo!
Oh.
Get down, Mr. President!
Alright. See, even this build can hold itself up against a GM, an LFG GM. Anyways, that's all I got. Like and subscribe and comment down below what you think I should cover in my next build video. As always, have a good rest of your day.